James, how you doing?
Hey
Yeah, great start to you, man.
Hey Ben.
No, it seems weird calling you James. I'm just gonna call you Edge.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is Edge. So me and Edge have worked together. I've trained him one on one, and really how you got into. I mean, I guess I'll ask you to begin with. Like, how did you kind of get into the whole kind of closing space in general?
Yeah, well, I guess I was kind of disillusioned with my corporate sales job. Kind of wanted something else where I could use my sales skills but get like really good at something and earn more money, live with more freedom. The classic thing that people want these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, just thought I'd get into it. I did do a course, and then I got this closing offer where we worked together through a friend, and yeah, you kind of helped me specifically on this offer and get me to a decent place. So I'm still closing now.
Yeah, 100%. So what was the corporate sales gig you were doing
So I
before?
was doing FMCG sales. So I was selling like stuff you see on the shelves in store, products. So I was selling that to Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, Morris, all the big four. So it was kind of cool. Yeah, it was kind of sales, but these sales things take like months and there's big teams behind you. And it's a lot of data and commercials and things like that. So it was selling, but kind of a different way.
Okay. And how long have you been working in high ticket sales for now? Like, how's the transition been?
Yeah, so I started working fully September last year. Um, and I would say it was quite a big shift for me to get used to it. I was kind of trained corporately. Um, the way that you engage with people on a 30-40 minute call is completely different than the way you would sell to some buyer at a big corporate company. So the transition was tough, and definitely that first month I was like, yeah, need a bit of support, kind of
Yeah.
making sure that I get those skills quickly because it is a completely different ballgame. So I would say to anyone who may be in a situation like me where they've done sales before, maybe corporate sales or like a different kind of sales, it's not guaranteed that you're going to take to it like a duck to water. Like it is quite a different skill set.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that you kind of see from like the gurus in the space is that like, oh, you can transition from corporate to high
Mm,
ticket and it's just like this and it's just so easy. You're doing the same thing and you make way more money, but it's very different. I know it's different.
yeah,
But I think now for yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got the skill of high ticket sales. Like, how is, without trying to sound corny, like, how has your
yeah.
life changed? Like, how are things actually different now that you're in this sphere?
Yeah, the main thing that I enjoy is I've got a lot more freedom, so I kind of work the hours that I want to with my calendar. That's allowed me to do, say, other projects that I want to do on the side. But because I'm basically honed into this skill of high ticket closing, it's a lot more kind of laser focus on building this skill. And so, yeah, my life's changed in terms of having more free time to do things I want. I feel more autonomous, and I feel like I'm learning a really, really valuable specific skill, which is just going to help me massively in anything I do in life.
Definitely. And with the when you were working in corporate sales, like why did it get to a point where you were like, right, I've had enough of this and I actually want to
Yeah,
transition to something different?
yeah, office politics. Um, like I do like working with teams, but I do, but there's a lot of red tape and hoops you need to jump through. You don't. Also, the main thing is you don't get necessarily you don't get what you put in. So the role was salary based. With a bonus at the end if the total company hits bonus. So I could absolutely nail my role, my job. If the company didn't hit
Mm,
bonus, I wouldn't get the 10-15%. So, I could work all the hours in the world and not get, say, more slice
mm,
of the pie. So high ticket closing was really attractive in the sense that, like, if I put more hours in, if I improve my skills, I can make X amount. So that autonomy of getting out what I put in was really key. And not having the bullshit that comes with office politics and navigating teams and stakeholder management and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that's another big thing. Like if like high tier sales definitely isn't for everyone. Like if you're one of those people who like isn't good under pressure, they like being, they don't like working towards putting in more time to make more essentially.
Mhm.
Right? Because there are people who are kind of molded for a 9 to 5. They like it. They kind of just sit back. They don't really do the work. They go through the days just like whatever,
Mhm.
chilling, finding time to play on their phone, whatever. Whilst with this, it's like, okay, if you're someone who's competitive, if you're someone who likes a challenge, who wants to make more for the amount of effort they're putting in, then I feel like there's no better industry. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why it really resonated to me, because I guess, I'd been in the corporate game quite a few years. I always had that in my mind, like, there's something else I could probably be doing. But it wasn't until I saw high ticket closing specifically, I was like, oh, actually, this seems like a legit route. Like, people mention other ways of, getting rich quick scheme. This is obviously not that, but I'm saying there's loads of people in the space saying you can get loads of money. But this one was kind of like, actually, that makes sense. There's a skill, companies need that. And therefore, this is literally looks like a good, legitimate way to do it. You learn a skill long term, and you don't have to do like, I don't know, drop shipping or something, invest loads. You don't really know what you're doing, and you're just relying on other people. Whereas this one's all on, if you build that skill, you can just keep
Definitely.
nailing it.
And I think that that's a big thing with it, is it's like with like trading and things like that, like it's kind of not real in a way. Whilst with this, it's like there are companies that need sales reps, like the jobs are there, like there is a demand for it. If you're willing to learn the skill and put in the effort and get a job, then you will make money. Like there's no two ways about it, which I think is interesting. And in terms of like me and you working together, like before we started working together, kind of where were you at, and how did you find the training that we went through, and how did it kind of affect your numbers?
I think one of the biggest learnings I got training with you is you know the value of the discovery, a good discovery, and being someone new who started out, the discovery, I wouldn't go deep enough into learning about the prospect, their pain points, things like that. So with our coaching, you definitely got me to want to go deeper in that section, to learn more about the prospect, build rapport, but also learn some things to use later on in the call. So that really helped kind of improve my performance early on. And the other thing as well, I guess, is the confidence. I say when you start something new like this, one of the key things is getting that confidence up quickly. So having one-on-one coaching like with you, it helps build that quicker. And once your confidence is up, once you're asking good questions, building that rapport with the prospects, that's when you start to improve your performance.
Definitely. And for those of people who are watching this who might not know what discovery is, it's basically the phase of the call where you find out more about the prospect before you kind of dive into the product and tell them about the product in particular. I think that that's valid, and that's something that I do value a lot on. I think that every deal can be won in the discovery, as you know. That's the way I like to teach. And just to go through some numbers, a bit embarrassing for you, I guess. But when you when you first started, your close rate from memory was what, like 7% for the first 3 weeks?
It was pretty bad first month, I would say, and then it was probably the end of September, but it was probably the end of September when they started coming in. So I improved significantly. I remember at the beginning, I was just like, literally, I think I told you as well once, I was so desperate to get a close, I actually shouted out yes on the call, because it'd been like a week or something. So that's where I was. Whereas now I'm like, I'm kind of like, feel confident going into it, and unless something happens, and I wouldn't see why it wouldn't end in a close. But I guess in terms of numbers, from not Monday, January and February this year, I had a very good close rate, above 40% for both months. So that's where I've got to, versus someone shouting out yes on a
bit of a difference.
Yeah.
I think that I'll take credit for a lot of that, but also you learn as you go. Like, it's not just
Yeah.
down to me. Like, it's when you get into it, the first month is always going to be bad, no matter whether you're being coached by someone amazing.
Mhm.
Obviously, it speeds the process up, but it's learning. You're doing something new. But I do think that through going through that phase where we had the one-on-one calls and we were just tooth to nail stone, like grinding away, fixing everything, I think it did make a big difference. And then, yeah, I mean, to get to a point where you're closing above 40%, I mean, that's no easy feat, and not a lot of people get to that point. So, fair play to you. So if you were to, first question, if you were to give someone any kind of advice, or if someone's thinking about getting into high ticket sales, they
Yeah.
think, yeah, this is something that resonates with me. What would you say to them? And then secondly, second part to that question,
Yeah.
like in terms of working with myself and the coaching, like what would you say there?
Yeah. So the first one, there is a different way in life. If you're kind of going through things and you've got that thing in your head, it's like, surely there's a different way of doing something, or there's, I want a bit more of this, a bit more of this in life. This is a legitimate way to do that. And the other thing I'd say is, this is a long-term skill. So even if you give it a go, you're going to learn so much about that's going to impact the rest of your life and how you interact with people. Just generally, it's a valuable skill to have. Even, let's say you gave up after a year, it's still valuable, the skills that you learn anyway. So that's why I'd say to anyone who's kind of on the fence, it is it's like it is a legitimate pathway to earn more money and freedom, and the skills you learn are valuable in life.
Sorry to interrupt, just before you go into the next point. I think that's a really good point. I think that you're probably not going to be a high ticket closer forever, and I say that openly. Like, you want to do other things. Like, I'm starting my own thing now. Like, I know that you're starting your own business too, but like, it's so paramount learning a skill like this. That's going to hold you in massively good stead now when you go into your own thing. When I go into mine, I think that it's just a life skill that you need, no matter what kind of business venture that you do. So I think that's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second thing, what was the second question?
It was, if someone was potentially looking to work with myself, like,
Yeah.
what would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say Ben's got a really good approach to training you up, in terms of, he'll go through everything, specifically why there's no pressure. Like, it's not like, if you do something wrong, you're going to get told off. It's kind of working with you in a safe environment where you can grow, find out what your strengths are, obviously using the right techniques that has got Ben to where he is, to be a top closer. So I would definitely say, yeah, if you're thinking of high ticket closing, for the reasons I mentioned before, do it. And Ben's a great person to learn in a safe environment, so you can pick out the things you can improve on, have a little laugh about some stuff you don't do well at, which is what we did at the beginning, and make sure, and then get your close rate up, which it did for me.
Definitely. I think that it's funny that I just started laughing then when you're kind of saying nice things about me, because we're actually quite good mates now since we started working together. So it's always funny to hear you. I don't hear you compliment me a lot, so
this is the only time. This is the only time I will. So say it, which you are.
Awesome. All right, mate. Well, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon, and we'll go from there.